place, and I really did enjoy that. Okay. When you wrote those tense scenes between Jared and Ian, did it remind you of Jacob and Edward? Although they're different characters, the intense love triangle seems to resonate similarly. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. For me, I really like to write complicated situations because, I mean, if you have a girl who falls in love with a boy and everything works out really smoothly, there's not much to write about. So, you know, I like to have things a little bit more difficult than that. And so I guess there are some similarities, but the characters feel so different to me, and the situation, because there actually are two people in love with two different people, doesn't feel the same, but I can see the comparison. All right, this person typed, they were prepared. All right. After reading the host, I felt a connection to the storyline. I sense in you a great protective love of a younger family member. I have a brother that's 12 years younger than me, and I feel like he's always been the one sibling that I would kill or die for, almost as if he were my child. Is this relationship in your story based on an actual relationship in your life, or a fictional one? I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me, and also one that's 8 years younger than me. And when I was growing up, there's something that most of you have not experienced yet, but I like to call mom nightmares. When you have kids, half your nightmares are about like some spider creeping closer to your child and you can't move. And I used to have dreams like that about my brothers because I was really protective of them. I still am. So there is that relationship. I know how it would be to have those mother feelings for a brother, and if the mother was out of the picture, how much you would take that role on yourself. So that actually is from my own life. All right, here's a question about the covers. This one is what does the ribbon on the cover of Eclipse mean, but I better go through them all. Okay, first of all, it is not my arms or my eye on any of the covers. I don't have blue eyes, but no, they have people in New York who get paid to be pretty. They're called models. And they're just there on the spot. They can show up any day of the week, so they tend to use them over the authors that might live on the other side of the country. So the Eclipse cover, for me, is, you know, you have this ribbon that's cut off not very neatly. And it was, for me, the metaphor is the idea of not being able to make a clean break with your past life, because it's never that easy. You know, you can decide, I'm going to put it all behind me, but there's always a few threads you can't break. The apple cover is about the idea of choosing. You know, the apple doesn't have a bite in it yet, and I just really love that sort of, I mean, it's a very simple picture, but at the same time, you can just feel this waiting, because are you going to bite the apple? Is there something wrong with it? Why are we hesitating? What are we thinking about? And then, of course, there's the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, which is really what Bella's looking at there. And then the flowers means nothing at all. I didn't get to pick that one, so. It's pretty with the set, I guess. The good news is that with book 4, I actually did pretty much design the cover in a lot of ways. So I'm really happy with it. It turned out the way I wanted it, and that's always the good news. All right. Did you ever imagine the Twilight series would be so huge? I kind of picked this one because they have really pretty handwriting. I'm impressed. No, I didn't. When I wrote Twilight originally, no one was ever going to see it but me. So it was a little weird to let anybody see it. And then I thought maybe, I don't know. I mean, I thought on some occasions, maybe someday, like someone was going to tell me that Twilight was their favorite book. You know, and I just thought, but no, that's way too arrogant to ever expect that. But maybe people will like it. So I wasn't really expecting for people to love it the way they did. I knew I loved it, but I wrote it for me, so it should specifically be perfect for me. So I was really surprised, and the way the series has just kept going, and people are still picking up Twilight, and everyone's still so excited about it. It's amazing. I mean, I really can't describe what it's like to have a room full of 1,000 people screaming for your books. It's bizarre, and it's really cool, but at the same time kind of overwhelming because, you know, wow, it's just a story that I've wanted to write. It's really cool. Here's the one about the movie, because people get excited about the movie. I'm excited too, but I do most of my screaming at home alone. What was your first reaction when finding out someone wanted to make Twilight into a movie? Good question. I first got interest in Twilight in 2004, a year before the book was actually out on the shelves. So that was pretty early in. I still didn't know if anyone was going to like it. And I had several producers interested, And what I was worried about, as all you can imagine, is the fact that most books that get turned into movies suck. And we've all seen it. There's a couple of really good ones. I mean, I love the Bourne trilogy. And Sense and Sensibility, the Emma Thompson version, is the best remake ever made. So there are some good ones. And so the decision really came down to, for me, okay, there's a really great chance that they're going to screw this up completely. But if they get even one scene right, even one moment right, just to see it on the big screen, that was what sucked me in. Luckily for me, I think they're going to get actually a lot of things right. So here's another one about the movie, so we're not done yet. How much creative control did you have with the movie? Because there are a lot of detail changes, i.e., do any of these bother you? The cars. I was quite a bit involved, more so than I had any right to be. The contracts pretty much cut the author out. They don't ever have to talk to you again. And I know why they do this, because making a movie is a creative project, and you get visions from the director and from the screenwriter and from the producers, and those don't always intersect just right. So it's just a matter of way too many cooks in the kitchen, and you add one more author who might have opinions about what has to be this way or has to be that way, and they can stop a movie from getting made, and it's happened before. But Summit was really cool. You know, they weren't the first company that had the rights to the movie. They were the second, and the first one didn't work out so great. Yeah, some of you know. There was a script that was quite frightening, and so after that experience, I was worried, because Summit's been really great. They wanted me to come in and have input on the movie, and they let me tweak the script, and then they let me work a little with some of the casting, and so I feel like they've been really good. It's true that I am not a huge fan of the exact cars that were picked, because I'm a car person, but as was pointed out to me, I am like 1 out of a million girls who actually cares about the make and model of the Volvo, and I believe that. You know, I know that that's not a normal thing. In my computer bag right now, the only reading literature I have besides, I have my books, but my magazines, I have Car and Driver and Motor Trend, so I know that's not normal, but that's the way I am.